Okay, we're good to go.
Thank you so much. Welcome everyone to our Youth Dialogue series number 5. Thank you for always being here with us. And I'm happy that today we've discussed a lot of issues in our dialogue series, but today is a special one because we're going to discuss climate change and climate action. Before we start, my name is Mary Joyce Takali, the Deputy Executive. I'm sorry. My name is Mary Joyce Takali, the Deputy Executive Secretary, African Young Leaders Foundation. And I would like to welcome you all to this dialogue series this Sunday. We are gathered here to explore the pivotal role that young people play as far as climate action and combating climate change is concerned. We all know that climate change is one of the most pressing issues of our time, and we need the creativity and energy and innovativeness of young people. So that's why we need to come here and discuss how can young people be able to participate and how can we leverage on different aspects like technology. So with me here tonight, we have an exceptional panel of young leaders and young people who are at the forefront of climate action. And in no particular order, I have Abe Brenda, who is the president of Uganda Red Cross Society, Kyambogo University. You're welcome, Brenda. And also a climate activist. And the second one is Xavier Macristo, my brother. You're so very welcome, and thank you for sparing your time amidst all your busy schedule. And Xavier is the founder and CEO of Agroecology and Governance Network, AgroNet. Thank you so much, Xavier, for being here. The third panelist is Annette Oduro. She's a digital marketer and a climate change advocate. You're so very welcome to this panel of the AYLF Youth Dialogue series. So to everyone viewing us, I encourage you to engage actively, ask questions, but also contribute to this conversation. Before we start, I would like to call my panelists to come and say something, introduce themselves and what I've not said about them. We shall start with you, Miss Annette. Kindly unmute and turn on your video and introduce yourself. Thank you.
Thank you once again. My name is Annette Odro, as she rightly said. I'm a digital marketer and a climate change advocate. And I've been in the advocacy game for like 2 years now, more into plastic waste solution. And a digital marketer, I do lots of marketing for digital, marketing, sorry, in the digital space for companies, currently with Margins ID Group. So it's nice to meet all of you here today.
Thank you very much, Miss Annette. You're welcome. Mr. Xavier, can you unmute yourself and introduce yourself and say hi to our viewers and listeners? Thank you.
Wonderful evening. I'm Macristo Xavier. I'm a farmer. I'm a social entrepreneur. I'm a climate activist. I am the founder of AgroNet, Agroecology and Governance Network. We build resilient communities. We call them L3 that do agroecology practices. Our main target is the women and the children, though we socially include everyone. That is our prior target. In all our communities, we have 80% constituted of the women and the children. Basically, that is who or what we do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Xavier. You're very most welcome, and we can't wait to hear from your initiative and what you do. Miss Brenda, kindly unmute yourself and introduce yourself.
Well, thank you very much. I'm so delighted of being into this platform. Well, my name is Abe Brenda, and I'm the president of Red Cross Kyambogo Link, a student pursuing Bachelor's of Science in Chemical and Process Engineering. I'm also a climate activist, and I'm a member of Environmental Hub Uganda. Then the last bit, I think it's hairdressing. Yeah, that's the last thing that I cannot fail to talk about. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Miss Brenda. It's lovely to have you tonight. Without wasting time, allow me to welcome you, Xavier. You can open your mic and speak. Before we go ahead, there are people who don't even know what climate is. What is climate? what is weather? Is climate the same as weather? We need to know before we go ahead with these terms so that we can be able to know how to use them. Mr. Xavier, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. I always like speaking my farmer's English. That is easily understood and everyone
It's
can
fine.
flow well. When I speak what you don't get, please feel free to ask. And now I work on issues around climate justice. Climate change are the different variations we are seeing in our weather patterns, like erratic rains, floodings, too much heat, uh, uncontrolled wind, and most of these changes are caused by our own impacts on the earth or on planet earth. We find the trees we are planting, we are cutting, the wetlands we are reclaiming, the deforestation, soil erosion. Most of these actions are done by us. So that is basically how I can talk about climate change. And I wanted to use examples because these are things we are doing, and these are the effects of climate change. Basically, I think I can stop there for now. I don't know if that answers it.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much. Miss Annette, I would like to know your background. What really inspired you to become involved in climate action? What's the story behind every move that you've taken as far as climate is concerned?
Thank you so much. I would begin with the fact that I was not into it. I was actually introduced into climate change advocacy and everything by a friend. One day she called me, Annette, we have there's this event, we want to go and clean the beaches. And I'm like, okay, she's my friend, I can't say no to her. So when I go to the beach, I'm not a beach person. I usually go to the beaches in the evenings. We go there and the amount of plastic waste at the beach was crazy. And I asked her, does she do this often? She said, yeah, they do this often. And that's when I told myself, whenever there's the opportunity to raise awareness, do anything to help reduce the amount of plastic in their environment and anything to reduce the impact of the waste being caused by ourselves, I would hop on the opportunity and do the little I can to help the environment. So that's how I entered into the climate change space.
Wow, that's really amazing. Mr. Xavier, I'll come back to you. I would like to know what's your story behind your climate action or behind every initiative that you're doing. And I would like you to share some of the initiatives that you're doing in details that the young people can be able to emulate and know how they can go further as far as climate action is concerned. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. How much time are you giving me for that? Since it's going to be in detail, I don't hope I will not take 5 hours.
No, please.
Okay.
Kindly use 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm from a community. I'm from the northern part of Uganda. This is an area that is so much affected by deforestation. They cut down trees basically for charcoal, and you find this is a source of livelihood. Moving in the communities, you find women are having menstrual changes, they're having miscarriages. Farmer communities are not having enough food, causing gender-based violence in communities. So there are so many diverse impacts we saw of climate change in our communities. So we sat down and we tried to figure out how can we resolve these solutions. We started implementing activities. We are running a 1 million tree planting exercise in Nebi and parts of West Nile. That's in the northern part of Uganda. We started planting trees. Last year we planted about 18,000. This year we have planted about 7,000. Yeah, the rains were scarce this year. Then we gave alternative to people. Instead of cutting down trees, why don't we do eco stoves? We started training them how to make eco stoves, energy saving stoves. And then we did alternative to plastics. We made pots. There's a simple good science about pots. You know, clay pots. They're alkaline in nature. They neutralize acids in water and they purify them. So making clay vessels, we make pots, we make cups and plates in the communities. This one basically we engage the women. Then we do activities like avenue greening in towns. We do institutional greening. We plant trees. We do train and empower the youth, the children in schools. We don't leave out the children. And then we work together with other partners, like there are so many. We work with partners. Allow me to reserve the names for now. We work with partners on climate justice actions, and we lead advocacy on climate justice actions on any platform that we are given. So currently, I'm on a program. Also, I told you I'm traveling. I'm also going to do it in another country. So basically, what we do is just about climate change and mitigations. It's not a thing that affects Africa or Uganda alone, but it's everything. That's why when we are called upon in South Africa, North Africa, in Asia, we are there. In Europe, in the US, we do it everywhere because it's now a thing that affects us all. We can't say the other ones contributed more. Yes, we understand that. But if you plant a tree here, the effect is everywhere, it's global. And as I summarize, uh, as the youth, no youth will have money. You can't talk about mitigation of climate change without money. We have developed model farms that can give you a good cash flow of about 3.5 to 10 million shillings. That is very small, just like about 10 meters squared. Youth are adopting in this because they do plant trees. We do farming technologies using agroecology. Agroecology is a tool we are using that really fights malnutrition, promotes food sovereignty in homes, food security, and improved livelihoods. So we're using agroecology as a tool to mitigate all these effects of climate change. We are doing recycling of plastics. We are doing recycling of anything that we use, even that decompose. We make sure we make double use of them. Hey, remind me if I finished my 5 minutes. So basically, that's what we are doing as Argonet, and we lead in the governance bit of it. We do social responsibility and accountability. You as a youth, you as a woman, you as a gentleman, as a lady, whoever you are, what is your responsibility? What is your core value in a community in the mitigations of climate change? It's a question you have to ask yourself. You're taking your water and shamelessly open the door of the car, you throw the bottle outside. What are you doing? My sister previously, I've forgotten her name, talked about cleaning the beaches. This water is going to, this rains will fall and this bottle will flood up to the beaches and will block those beaches, to kill aquatic animals in the water. So you have to be socially responsible, socially inclusive, create safe space for everyone, women, elders, children, everyone, so that they air out their issues. Because we're looking at innovation. If you're talking of innovation and you don't want new ideas, then I don't think it will work out. So that's basically what we do. It's broad. That's why I asked you, are you giving me 5 hours or 5 minutes? Thank you for now. I submit.
Thank you so much, Mr. McChrystal. That was elaborate, and you spoke about how you include women, how you include children, like you involve everyone in climate action, and that is not the case with every community. You realize that most of those the groups are left out in climate action, yet they can do so much. There's a lot of untapped potential in them as far as that action is concerned. And the next question will go to you, Ms. Brenda. Young people are always left out in decision-making levels of climate action, yet we can be able to tap into their potential and be able to leverage on the demographic dividend. What are the strategies that you found effective in mobilizing young people for climate change action, and how can we be able to attract them and that they can join the movement? And how can what are the most effective strategies of keeping them around and involving them in everything to do with climate action? Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for that diverse question, I should say. It's very broad as you stated it out. And according to my perception, the strategies that we have found effective in mobilizing young people for climate action. I feel some of the strategies I'm going to talk about are in line with what we are trying to discuss. One is mobilizing young people for education and awareness. We find that through providing information through schools, workshops, and social media, education and awareness will help us to have effective mobilization of young people for climate action. Then still on the same note, if we use social media, use of social media also helps us to leverage platforms like Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, to reach out a wide audience. And we find that if we use the social media platforms, we get to tap different people from different districts, countries, and globally. And you find that it will spread the gospel to almost everyone. Then also youth networks and communities. In this case, building and supporting networks of young people, activists to improve sense of community and collective work. We find that for this case of youth network and communities, it will help us to have the community outreach. You know how here in Uganda we go do outreaches, we clean the markets, we remove the plastics from some swamps, we clean some water bodies where we are directed to do so. And in that case, we find that different youths from different institutes and different organizations come together and work through this. Then we also have creative art and media. You find that using music, art pieces, films, creative mediums to spread awareness and active. You find that in case someone live streams a movie talking about climate action, it will spread too much gospel to even the people with disability. Let's say the people with hearing impairment, they will look at it and take it all, and you find that inclusion is put in place. Then I think lastly, we have providing resources and support, because in climate action, we do not go just without nothing. If you have seedlings, if you do nursery bed, if you have tools that can help us or can help the young people to proceed with the activities, then it will help to push the young people and effective in mobilizing young people for climate action. For now, let me submit on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Brenda. Those are really good strategies and innovative ideas as far as driving meaningful impact is concerned in climate action. I'll come to you, Ms. Annette. Kindly do share with us your initiatives in detail, and I'll give you like 5 minutes to do that, and also help us understand and get to know the challenges that young people or you have seen young people facing when they're trying to engage in climate action, like in the Ghanaian perspective. Thank you.
Thank you once again. I've worked on numerous initiatives, but they are not mine. I actually do more of supporting other initiatives in the climate space. I do tree planting. I've done that several times, and sometimes you go and other people are there for the pictures. Some of us are also there because we want to see more green in our environment. So we decide to get ourselves and our hands dirty to make sure these trees actually grow. I also volunteer with other organizations that I mentioned earlier that we go to the beaches, we do plastic waste collection. When you come to where I volunteer with, that is Macintosh Africa, we turn these plastic bottles into Christmas trees. That's one thing we do. So from October, November, December, we become busy making sure the plastic bottles we have, we turn them into Christmas trees and light them up. It's very beautiful. Anytime you see them light up, it's amazing. That sometimes we spend nights traveling to other parts of Ghana just to make sure we fabricate trees. And from these same plastic bottles, we also make lip balm containers and pencil case from the plastic bottles and sachet water. I don't know how it's called in Uganda or other parts of Africa, but some people call it water pouches. When you go there, you also make what do you call it, bags from it, that's tote bags, very big tote bags that you can use them when you are going to the market or when you are going for lectures. So these are some of the things that we do. Usually recycle this plastic waste and make sure they are turned into amazing things that you can use over and over again. And other initiatives is also education and awareness. Every opportunity I get, I try my best to raise awareness on why we need to reuse or recycle some of the plastic waste that we make in our environment. And coming to the challenges when it comes to Ghana, I would take it from the funding, because lots of people have amazing ideas, innovative ideas to reduce the impact of climate change in our country. But we say in Chi, where is the money? You might have the best idea, but you might not get the funding because people are still trying to, people are still abreasting the whole concept of climate change. And it's still a conversation that is developing in Ghana. So funding is actually a very big issue here. And another issue will come to mobilization of the youth. Anna spoke on that. Sometimes you have a big tree to weave and you get to the center. Sometimes we are going to fabricate a tree. You get to the center, like 9 people weaving 20 feet plastic bottles tree. And I asked myself, how are we going to do that? You try ways and means to mobilize these people, and they are not coming on board because they are not seeing what you see. They do not see into the future the impact that climate change is coming with. The only thing they see at the moment is just the change in the weather. It's supposed to rain and it's still hot. Those are the only things they are seeing, but they are not seeing into the future what you are seeing. So mobilizing people is actually becoming a challenge in Ghana when it comes to fighting climate change. Thank you.
Thank you so much to overcome those challenges. What have been the strategies that you've used in the work that you do? Thank you.
Miss Mary, I don't know, but I've forgotten about some strategies that are effective in mobilizing young people. And I feel it's a top notch, by the way. So if you give me like 1 minute, I can bring them aboard and share them out. The request, please.
Let's first hear from Annette. Come to you, please. Thank you. Miss Annette, can you please tell us how you've overcome some of these challenges that you faced in like young people, all the challenges that young people have faced in climate change in the work that they do? How have you overcome those challenges? Like if you realize that mobilization of young people is hard, how do you solve it? How do you overcome it?
Thank you so much. For someone in the communication space, I've always believed in storytelling and showing evidence of what you've done. So I got some of my friends on board because I showed them this is what we are doing, and people love innovative things. It's difficult to get them on board sometimes, but when you show them this is what we've done, this is what you're going to do, you're going to be part of this amazing story that we have crafted. You can also share your story that, hey, I was able to join this group to do this. If you see this clean beach, you can say it full chested that I was part of the team that ensured that this beach is as clean as it is today. And I also leverage mostly on friends because it's difficult to get strangers on board. But if I pull one friend and one friend pulls the other friend and the other friend pulls the other friend, we are creating a circle of change makers in the climate change environment. So these are some of the things I have been leveraging on to mobilize people in the space to make sure that we get the things that we want to do done. leverage on storytelling. Make sure you craft a nice story to stir emotions that people will be moved to do what you want them to do without actually forcing them or inciting anything to get them to do it.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much, Miss Annette. Yes, you told us to use storytelling and also share our stories so that someone can be able to be inspired and also learn something or try to do something about it. Also, we need to leverage on our networks, the friends that we have. We have to share with them and then they share with their friends. And that way we can be able to drive change in our communities and in Africa at large. Miss Brenda, you can come in with the strategies that you forgot, but also I want you to tell us how can we ensure that young people's voices are heard in decision-making processes related to climate policy?
Okay, thank you so much, Madam Mary. Well, the strategies I forgot about is school and university programs. You find that integrating climate action into the curriculum and encouraging students-led environmental clubs and projects, you find that this at a certain point will let the students come into charge to do the climate action, and it will force them to uplift the activities that are being done in and out, and that shall be integrating climate action into the curriculum. Well, then the next one is empowerment and leadership. You find that if we encourage youth leadership by involving young people in decision-making processes and providing opportunities for them to lead initiatives and campaigns, at the end of it all, the students are going to be the top leaders and they will advocate for other fellow students to join these initiatives such that we push it so much to a wider world. Those are the 2 points that I had forgotten about. Then, Madam, I kindly request you to pardon me the question that you wanted me to address. Thank you.
Like we spoke about young people not being included in decision-making processes as far as the climate policies are concerned. Yet we believe that their voices are crucial and we know that they can come up with innovative ideas that can help further the issue of climate action. How can we ensure that their voices are heard in those spaces?
Okay, thank you for the light. How can we ensure that the young people's voices are heard in climate policy? I think that's the question. So one, youth advisory councils. I find that this is the major thing that we have to look into by establishing advisory councils or committees composed of young people to provide input and feedback on climate policies. In this case, you find that if we've written reports about our work and then we give the feedback to the authorities, at the end of the day, we shall be heard and we shall be included also. Then inclusion and formal negotiation, including youth representatives in national delegations to international climate negotiations such as United Nations, that's the UN that we all know about, and also the United Change conferences. Those are the COP conferences that people always go for. You find that here in Uganda, we have a conference somewhere, say in the United States. We go there and have that conference, and you find that at the end of it all, we are going to share knowledge, and the people who are not on a no shall pick a leaf from the speakers from that event. So that point was about inclusion in formal negotiation. Then the third one could be public consultations. The light on public consultation is holding public consultations and specifically designed to gather inputs from young people, specifically climate policies initiative. For this case, it's more of awareness or advocacy. Even it can go hand in hand with consultancy. you go to a certain place and hear out the people's voices, the youth's voices, what they have on the climate action. And at the end of it all, we are going to collect information from them and do the implementations. Well, then also funding and resources. You know, right now, young people, my dear, I don't know whether I'm the only one who sees this, where young people have their hands tied up because they don't have where to start from. And at the end of the day, you do not do anything and nothing is put in place. So if we have funding and resources, this will help us to push this agenda, and allocating fundings and resources to support youth initiatives and ensure their sustainability. So at the end of it all, we shall come to light. Then you also have utilizing online platforms as we are doing it right now, by the way, because we find that we are sharing knowledge from our sister from Ghana, then also Savior, me, you, and other participants. You find that at the end of it all, we've shared a broader knowledge, and tomorrow we are going to implement something that is to a greater world, and it will be so effective to all the natives around us. Then also integrating youth in decision making. There are some initiatives and some bodies that we really don't have the youths that are appointed in these platforms. You get that at the points where it's only elders, adults, there is no young person, there is nothing, so our voices won't be heard. But if we appoint young people to positions within the governmental and non-governmental bodies responsible for climate policy, at the end of it all, this young youth is going to come back to the community and talk to the fellow youths, and at the end of it all, we shall be heard. Thank you so much.
And I hope that the policymakers will be able to see this video, will be able to find us on YouTube, because these videos stay there, and it is a call to action. We are requesting young people to join us in this cause, but also requesting the policymakers, decision makers to involve us, that we can be able to. The work of climate action is a collective job, so we need to work together and we need to involve all generations. Thank you so much for that. Now, Mr. Savior, I'll come back to you. Miss Brenda, one of the strategies that she gave was to use social media platforms, but I would like to hear from you. Besides social media, how can we be able to leverage on social media, technology, and everything to do with the digital transformation? How can we be able to leverage on those aspects to combat climate change effectively? Thank you.
Yes, now as we usually have a bottom-up approach that we use the simplest systems that communities can afford or can fully adapt, and they must be resilient and sustainable. That's why we're using agroecology. We're using an approach of family in farming communities. With an approach of family that we have lead actors in our initiatives are women and the children and the youth, but our biggest percentage are the youth, because youth take 80% of our initiatives that we do. So there's a social inclusion aspect, that everyone has a voice. You know, a lot of people have what to say, but they don't have the safe space. So we use all avenues to create safe space for women, for the youth, so they can freely speak. And as I told you, we're doing agroecology. Agroecology, one of the biggest backbones of agroecology is farmer to farmer knowledge sharing. If you look back into our communities, these effects of climate change we're seeing right now, they are not something so new, though the impacts are harder this time around, because checking in the communities, about 80% of the children and women are mostly affected by climate change effects. and you find 70% plus over Uganda's population are farmers who fully depend on farming. So now the best approach we use is to work with households. Now the approach we're using, we're working with households. Whether you're in school, you're at the university, when you come back home, you should do something that shows that you are included, you are part of the family. And whatever you do, as I said earlier, you should be socially responsible and accountable to yourself first. Then, as my sister from Ghana said, you have to have an impact. I always tell youth, I tell women, you want the space, you want to talk. It's very okay. Youth, you want to talk. It's very okay. You want to make the noise. It's very okay. What value do you have that attracts the people or the kind of thing you need to you? Let's create values in our different households. And we fully embraced that when we started seeing the impacts. People started embracing that as households. When I speak, my mother speaks, my wife speaks, my friend speaks, everyone speaks. The family aspect we're talking of is not that father, mother, child. We're talking of communities. If you're in a school, you're one family. How can you make a holistic approach? Then you have to sit down as a school. What is the administration saying? What are the youth saying? What are the children saying? What are the S1 saying? What are the S6 saying? What are the first years saying? What are the finalists saying? We sit down, we come with a holistic approach that affects, that causes impact to everyone. Everyone feels included. Then when we plant trees like in schools or in communities like in churches, what we do, we give accountability. We advocate for the community to come up with accountability energy saving stoves. There are different types of energy saving stoves we're working with, but now we create women groups who fully supervise those stoves and people use them. If someone is not using them, they continue teaching them. One day thing, please, this one here, you have seen, if you use this, it saves you more charcoal, it saves you more firewood. Why don't you think this is better? That's how, by the way, that just that one element of someone feeling included, it gives a better output. And youth, whenever we have an activity, we seal our activities always with tree planting. Always. Even yesterday we had one. Yesterday but one, we had one. So we all seal all our activities with tree planting. And everyone plant. What does it need to plant a tree? A tree seedling is 500 shillings. What resource do you need to do? You're spending more than 10,000 shillings every day. Can you save 500 shillings to buy a tree seedling sincerely? If you have where to plant it. So even investment, line to investment, we actually are advocating for. That's why earlier I said we're developing models. We develop models where you can do farming, but our issue is not the farming as in just as a practice, but as a practice, as a movement, and with a holistic approach to give you money to protect the environment. And we are so much advocating for organic. Now agroecology is simply farming with nature. So we want a holistic approach to everything that we do. And with that, once everyone feels involved, I believe we shall achieve this battle together. Climate justice will over to you. I'm traveling. I hope my network is not breaking.
No. We really heard you, and we are taking everything that you're telling us. So I just pray that my viewers and everyone who's listening in is getting this, is taking this to heart, and let it challenge everyone so that we can be able to join the action. I would like to, at this juncture, I'd like to thank everyone who is viewing us on YouTube. Thank you for always keeping it here every Sunday. Mr. James, I'd like to know if we have some comments or questions from YouTube before we go ahead.
Oh, thank you so much, Ms. Mary, for the good job, and to our astute, panelists for today. I've really learned a lot so far, and I can't wait to continue with the following the conversation. So unfortunately for today, we've not received any questions yet from YouTube, and I have a question personally. to any of the panelists. What is the main problem in terms of climate change awareness as far as youth voices are concerned? Is the awareness of this cause low, or there's enough awareness to pull a lot of resources on board? Thank you.
Okay, we'll start with you, Xavier. I hope you've heard the question.
Yes. Okay,
Thank you
about
so
the
much. Go ahead.
awareness, okay, thank you for that question. I can't say it's enough, but the awareness, I think we have to strategize. It's not enough, basically. We have to strategize on how best we can do our awareness. By the way, social media is a very good tool, very good tool. But that is AI. I always, based on my own engagement with youth in communities, not in the town area, like no, town areas better, but in other rural communities where I usually implement most of my activities. Those people don't have phones, and those who have phones don't have data. Now, social media as a tool, it does to an audience that has the phones and the data. But usually, like what we do, I told you I'm using rural approaches, so you just bear with me if I'm taking you back analog. Well, we talk like every Sundays. We talk when we have tree planting activities, or when we have an activity around climate justice. We work with the churches, we work with the mosques, we work with the schools. You find like for instance, last year we had an activity that we gave out tree seedlings to children in primary schools, even though somewhere in nursery schools, we give them tree seedlings. But we first confirmed, we told them you can make holes. So the mom will ask, what are you making the holes for? That's the way we tap in parents. What are you making the holes for? They told us they're going to give us tree seedlings. And my favorite fruit is orange. So now we give them their favorite fruits. They do go and plant. Now you find if the kid was supposed to plant like 1 or 2, the parent will say, I want 5 or 6 or 10. That's how now we tap parents to children to parents. Now, when you're working with churches, we call pastors, reverends, the priests, and maybe the imam from the mosque. We engage them. After engaging them, we tell them, can your members make for us holes? We want to plant trees. They do make the holes, then we do give trees. Now, there are a lot of dormant trees in our systems of government, like the NFA offices, the forestry offices, those people have tree seedlings. They look for who to give, even some dry. If you move out and check, you'll find what I'm telling you. So what we do, we tell them we are going to the municipal council, we are going to the city council, we are going to the district, they're going to ask them to give us trees. We confirm with the district, they tell us they're going to give us trees, then we go to the churches. You people, can you make the holes, we bring the trees? No. The following year, like this year, they'll ask you, are you not bringing for us trees? Like every event, National Youth Day is coming, though the International Youth Day celebrations are coming, Women's Day, those big events. Now what we do cleaning. How do we do cleaning trenches, we do clean markets, streets. But now we don't only end with that. We give out like simple, we have some sacks we make that are good to collect the plastics. So now you hang them up in some centers, like in 5 homes, you can have one. 5 homes, you have one. Now some of these plastics can be resold and can be reused and can be recycled. So that's the way we try to engage people. We bring an activity that attracts. This initiates the other. That's how we are trying to do our mobilization and the awareness in the communities. I don't know if this answers that or I add more light onto that.
Answers it very well. I know Mr. James is satisfied.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Ms. Annette, do you still remember the question or should we repeat it?
I think I still remember James was asking if the awareness is not enough when it comes to youth and climate change, and what do we think the issues are or where the problems are stemming from. Am I right? Okay, so
Mr.
I
James.
think, James, am I right?
Yes, you're right.
Thank you. We keep mentioning social media, and no one has mentioned a platform yet, but we know every platform has a strategy, and every platform also has particular content that actually blows on that platform. And if you are creating content when it comes to climate change, to appeal to the youth, you have to find a way to cut through the noise, because there are millions of content creators out there, or there are millions of content that's disseminated every day. So how are you going to make sure that your content is actually cutting through the noise to get to the youth? The conversations are ongoing, the dialogues are always ongoing, but social media is where you are going to get the masses. So if you are getting the masses, what are you doing right and what are you doing wrong? So if it comes to social media, I think we have to look at where we are going wrong is the kind of content we are putting it out there. Are we creating content that appeals to the youth enough? Or we are just creating because we think they would actually get the message irrespective of what we send out there? And every youth, they have what interests them and what do not interest them. And I think when it comes to awareness as well, I think awareness is being done enough, but everyone has what they're interested in. As I said, when it comes to social media as well, they all have their individual interests. So what you do differently when it comes to your awareness would actually bring someone else on board to show interest and fight the fight that you are also fighting. And I think I said this earlier, people also not seeing into the vision what climate change is actually bringing to us. People think it's far away. There's been lots of fire outbreaks. I think Florida, if I'm getting it right, and US has recorded lots of tsunamis this year, or last year, if I'm getting them right. But we think they are all far from us. The only thing we are experiencing is just extreme heat, or the rain is actually increasing this year. I am not looking into it. While this is increasing in the next 5-10 years, how is it going to be like? I think we can also take conversations from there when it comes to the awareness spreading. We don't just tell them to come and plant trees, come and take orange tree and go and plant in your house, or come, we are busing you to this free location for you to plant trees, sorry. But how are you telling them the impact of climate change and how it's going to affect us in the next 5 to 10 years? I think that's one issue that stems up when it comes to awareness creation with the youth and climate change. James, did I answer your question?
Well, absolutely right. And I think both answers, I'm very well pleased. And the impact, as you've just mentioned, creating awareness on impact is one thing, but creating an alternative for people to resort to when they don't have any other means, other than to use firewood as a means of, cooking and all other things, it's also one thing. So before, I think it's a conversation that is going to go a long way, and I'm very well pleased with the answers that you've given. And I hope that we should have alternative to the way we are cutting down trees. We can cut down trees, we can plant, but should there be the need for us to even cut down the trees in the first place, So thank you so much. It's an interesting topic indeed.
Yes, Miss Abe would like to hear from you as far as the question is concerned. Thoughts, please.
Yes,
Miss Brenda.
yes, I strongly second Xavier for all his contribution. He talked about the locals. You find that a biggest percentage of the natives are remote. So what he talked about going to churches and mosques, the gatherings, I want to add on to his point that it's also nice if you also involve the local leaders back home. We have the women leaders, the village the village leaders, whereby we are going to talk to these people, and or if possible, we can reach out door to door such that the news is spread to them, because I'm pretty sure that most of the locals are not aware about what's going on. So at the end of the day, we shall impact the entire society about climate action, and I'll get to the know. Yes, that was my addition to Mr. Saviour's submission. And also to the urban areas, I feel back gardening is very, very okay, whereby, any green thing can contribute to climate change. And the back gardening will help us also with foods, and to reduce with the emission. And you find that emission can also cause global warming, and which will also affect the climate action or the change. So at the end of it all, in using the cooking friendly solutions, you find that some of us have the clay, and we can do that. Also the briquettes, we've forgotten to talk about it, which can also reduce the emission, and it can also reduce the deforestation, where people are using a lot of firewood for cooking. And at the end of the day, we shall go to desertification. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your thoughts, and I believe that all all the things that you've shared are elaborate and understandable. I think we're out of time, and I would like to call Mr. Saviour Makristo to come in with his parting shots before we leave. Okay, as we wait for Mr. Saviour, can we have your parting shots, Miss Annette? What is your call to action
Yes.
at this
Hello.
moment after we discuss all? Okay, please, kindly go ahead.
Please, could you kindly repeat the question?
I was saying that what is your advice to young people? What are your parting shots? What is your call to action after we've discussed all these ideas, and how can we be able to, you call the young people to join us in the work that we are doing, and
Okay.
just tell us your parting shots. And
Okay, me, I'm unapologetically a Christian. That one, I don't apologize. I believe in the Bible. And I love one man in the Bible called David. There's a place that David used to go to. It was a hiding place, and it was a training place. Whenever he came out with value. So I always tell my fellow youth, wherever you are, whatever you do, create value. Value will attract. And where do you create the value? In everything you do, in everything you speak, in every action you take. And in your capacity, yes, we need funding, we need opportunities, but in your capacity, you can do anything. Just start with what you have. My sister talked of briquettes. This one is not some kind of technical science or what. Use anything that you can do to do what you can. That's what I can tell the youth always, create value. I'll always do research. If you have a phone, try to get knowledge in your phone and you do what you can, especially climate change. It affects us all. And one thing I've liked over the years, once you start doing something better, it attracts more people to you. And people value, if you have the value. If you don't have value, you will not attract value. Thank you.
thank you so much, Mr. Saviour. Miss Annette, can we hear your parting shots? What is your advice to young people who are listening and viewing?
Thank you so much, Emma Crystal. Thank you so much. Create value, because value actually attracts value. And to add on to what he said, once you are creating value, make sure you are walking the talk. Integrity also attracts value. You don't just have the conversation, influence people and do otherwise. Because if you tell me to do this and I see you doing something else, I might lose the whole talk you had with me and do something else. So with all this conversation, we should also be truthful to ourselves. In the absence of other people, are you actually doing what you preached? Are you going against it, or you are going on the same lane? If you are telling us to segregate our waste, are you also doing it in your home, that if I visit you, it's going to be the same thing that you told me to do? So what I would tell everyone listening is, we will always have the conversation, but make sure you are practicing it, because that small practice that you do today would actually bring value and help us in mitigating the impacts of climate change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Annette. Over to you, Ms. Brenda.
Thank you so much. My advice to the people, to the listeners, to whoever is following us, resilience and persistence is key. The reason as to why I'm saying this is that you are going to start something and someone will spoil it, or say you've cleaned a certain swamp and you've removed the plastics and all the wastes that are not the polythenes and everything that is not needed in that place. You've removed it, then you go back the next week, you get the same thing. I urge you all to keep persistent, because at the end of the day, people are going to get to know that, oh yeah, so this is how this place has to look like, and it will create an impacting solution to the society, and it will also help us. And it also goes to the tree planting. You find that you plant trees times in sunny seasons, or goats will come and eat, all the destruction will come about. But we have to keep persistent and keep nurturing the trees, watering it. If you also can, you can even get fertilizers for the thing to look green and nice, So at the end of the day, we shall have something that will help us all. So my advice to the people or to the society out there is, let's keep resilient and persistent to this climate action. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Brenda, and I would like to share with the rest of the viewers and remind them what I've taken from your party shots. Mr. Sylvia said that we need to create value, but also Ms. Brenda said we need to be resilient and persistent. And the other thing Ms. Annette said, that we have to be true to ourselves. We have to keep the integrity. Like, are you that kind of person who, in the absence of everybody, you throw a plastic bottle in the road? Don't be that person. Yeah, so we've come to the end of the dialogue this weekend. Thank you so much to our amazing panelists, Ms. Annette Oduro, Xavier Macristo, and Ms. Abe Brenda. Thank you so much for sacrificing and taking your time and sharing your stories and innovative ideas. I know that this
All right, so we've lost Miss Mary, and I'm just going to continue from where she ended. It's been a very great privilege and honor to have each and every one of you join us today on our fifth youth dialogue series here, where we as young people, we try to inspire our network. We try to impact society by telling them what to do. So welcome back, Mary. Thank you. Please take over.
I'm sorry my network is disturbing me, but I was actually saying bye to our viewers. My last words would be like, each one of us has a role to play in creating a sustainable future, and it's up to you and me, and I know that together we can make a significant impact. Remember that the journey to a sustainable future is a collective effort. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. See you next Sunday.
Bye bye. See you next Sunday too.
Bye.